guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Mistress of Murder. We are doing one of my series. This is a revamp of Makeup and Murder. Today we're going to be talking about Rosemary West. She is in London, just an evil person. And while we're talking about her, I'm going to be doing this makeup look. Instead of talking about it as I go so much, I am just going to put up pictures of the actual makeup as I go. That way I can focus on what I'm talking about with the case. If you have questions or don't understand a product, check below. I'm putting that information down there. If this gets confusing, let me know and we'll try to work that out. This is my first one of these doing it in this new revamped format. So please give me a little bit of a break. Because it is a makeup and murder series, there will be graphic content. We can't talk about Rosemary without talking about her husband, Frank. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Rosemary and Frank are two sexual psychopaths. They killed people after torturing them to receive sexual gratification. It did not matter to them who it was. Some of these people that they killed for their own children and stepchildren. They're a very sick, twisted couple. Frank he didn't have a great life, no question about that. Pretty well established that he was molested when he was 12 and raped. Didn't have a great home life. At 15, he dropped out of school. And then at 17, he was involved in a severe motorcycle accident. He was in a coma for 8 days. According to his family, when he came out of that coma, he was a very different person, more inclined to get angry and rage and just had a really bad temper. Do I think that that's the sole reason that he became what he did? No, absolutely not. At 20, he was convicted of molesting a 13-year-old girl. He didn't get prison time for that, but his family did disown him, which to my mind does call into question some of the accusations about his family. If you see what I've got going on right this second, please don't turn away. I know it looks like crap right this second. It'll get better, I promise. But after his family disowns him, at 21, he becomes reacquainted with an ex-girlfriend, Catherine Costello. Everyone called her Rena. She worked as a prostitute a lot, and when they met, she was actually pregnant with someone else's child. He married her. On November 17th, they moved to Coatbridge, Lancashire, and his stepdaughter, Carmine Carroll, was born on the 22nd of February in 1963. Her father was from Pakistan. Then in 1964, they had another daughter, Anne Marie. During this time, Frank worked as an ice cream truck driver, and he ran over a 4-year-old child, and that caused them all sorts of problems. They had to move again because his life was being threatened. In 1966, Rena runs away from him. He's sexually sadistic and evil and abusive. She leaves her kids with him and takes off. She stays away from him for about a year, and then she comes back, I think, to try to get her kids, and stays with him for about a year, and it doesn't work out, and she takes off again. Once again, leaving her kids with Frank, the most evil person on the planet. At 27, while still married to Rena, Frank starts seeing Rosemary. Rosemary was 15 at the time when they started dating. He was 26. Like a few months later, when she turned 16, they move in together and take off together, living in a caravan. Rosemary's life to that point had not been great. Her father had started molesting her when she was pretty young. That doesn't ever really stop. She's still in school. She gets pregnant. She drops out of school. They move out and away. During, this time where she's got these kids, because she's pregnant with her child, and she's got Rena's children, multiple children, and Children's Services starts getting called. Accusations are made, but nothing really sticks. They're broke and poor, and Frank encourages Rosemary to be a prostitute, so she's doing that, and one of her frequent customers is her father. In 1970, Frank goes to jail for theft, never really very good at holding down a job. While he's in prison, it's believed that Rosemary kills his daughter, Carmine. On January 22nd of 1972, Frank and Rosemary tie the knot, they get married, and this is when the whole house of horrors starts. They move to 25 Cromwell Street. Things just go bad. At this point, Rosemary has 6 children. or she ends up with 6 children. I don't know. There's 6 kids. So she's got all these kids, and Frank is a sexual sadist, deviant. He doesn't care who he's doing that to. She hires a nanny to help with the 6 kids. So in 1972, they tried to get this nanny to, have a sexual thing with them, and she refuses. Now, I don't know why. She goes back to their house. A few weeks later, they invite her back over and kidnap her, hold her hostage in the basement, rape her. She manages to escape. So this is the Wet n Wild House of Thorns, and it's just that deep, deep red right there that I'm putting in my crease. I have to tell you about that one because it doesn't really have names on it. So they hold her hostage for a while. She manages to escape. The Deadliest Woman I watched and some other ones show her climbing out a window and getting away. I don't know if that's accurate or not though. Because some things say, well, she was let go after she promised that she wouldn't report them or whatever, which does report them, but nothing's ever really done about it. And she ends up withdrawing her accusations, and they drop the case, which is terrible. And while they have her down there, it's not just Frank raping her. Rosemary's watching, participating, giving suggestions on what to do to her. So this is the dark purpley color bed of roses, and I'm just putting that in the very, very outer corner over here. That was when the West decide nobody else gets to leave alive, and they start picking up prostitutes and girls from bus stops and different places, bringing them home, raping and torturing them, and then killing them. I'm going to read you the list of confirmed kills. Carmine West was born February 22nd, 1963. She's killed in June by Rosemary while Fred was in prison. No motive was put forward. Catherine Bernetta West, or Rena, was born April 14th, 1944, was killed August 1971. Rena had called to take Carmine away, and they believe that Fred killed her to avoid an investigation into Carmine's whereabouts. Linda Gow, born May 1st, 1953, killed April 1973. She was a lodger at their house. Rosemary had been stalking her. When people came over to try to visit her, Rosemary was wearing her clothing and said that she had one day taken off. I'm taking this mauve color, put that in my outer edge over here, across my lid. First I'm going to use some Too Faced glitter primer stuff. Rena comes and she tries to pick up Carmine. They kill her. They've killed Linda. Carol Ann Cooper is born April 10th, 1958, killed November 73rd. She was living in a children's home in Worcester when she disappeared while taking a walk. Lucy Catherine Pentagon, born March 4th, 1952, killed December 73, spent Christmas with her family in Cheltenham, and visited a friend, disappeared after leaving to catch a bus. There's strong evidence she had been kept alive for several days, if not weeks. Teresa Sigenthaler, born the 27th of November, 1952, killed April 1974. A student in South London, she left to hitchhike a ride to Ireland and was never seen again. Shirley Hubbard, born the 26th of June, 1959, killed November 1974, left a work experience corpse in Droitwich to return home, never arrived home. When her remains were found, her head was completely covered in tape with only a 3-inch rubber tube inserted to allow her to breathe. Juanita Marion Matt, born March 1st, 1957, killed April 1975. She was a former lodger at 25 Cromwell, was living with a friend of her mother's when she disappeared. Shirley Ann Robertson, born October 8th, 1959, killed May 1978, also a lodger at 25 Cromwell Street, was a prostitute for the West, disappeared after becoming pregnant with Fred's child. Allison Chambers, born the 8th of September 1962, killed August 1979, last known sexually motivated killing. Then the last one was Heather Ann West, their daughter, born October 17th, 1970, killed June 1987. Heather had become the focus of Fred's attention. After Anne Marie left home, Fred claimed he hadn't meant to kill her, but she had been sneering at him and smirked, and he'd taken the smirk off her face. And later, after that, he would threaten the kids that if they didn't behave, they were going to end up under the patio. So the patio was dug by one of their sons. He was told it was supposed to be a fishing pond or fish pond, little decorative fish pond. That didn't happen. Then it became a patio. And there was this ongoing joke, I guess Fred started, that if you didn't behave, you were going to end up under the paving stones like Heather. Paving stones were kind of like crossword puzzle looking, you know, with the squares. So it's like 25 down, whatever, you know, you're going to go end up and be like Heather. After that happens, after Heather's murder, things start to fall apart. Because in 1992, they molest one of their daughters and film it. And nowadays, we all know that would be a terrible idea. But even back then, one would think doing that would be bad. At this point, you know, people are hearing about what's going on with these kids, and some teachers overhear some things, and they turn them into children's services. Children's services take them away. And while they're with children's services, the kids start telling the story about their sister Heather. At first, it was kind of ignored, and then it got to the point where people were like, well, where is she? You know, where is this daughter? And the police start asking questions and interrogations, and the answers aren't making a lot of sense. Eventually, Fred admits to what's happened, sort of. They get a warrant and start digging, and they don't just find one body. They find a whole bunch of bodies. Okay, so I'm gonna take that dark color there. At this point, you know, they get a warrant, they start digging it up, and they find bodies, they find lots of bodies. Fred doesn't know who people are. He just says, like, the woman with a scar on her hand. These people meant nothing to him. I used a bronzer out of my Smashbox, and then I'm using this highlight here. So they start digging up all these bodies. Rosemary claims, you know, she doesn't know anything about anything. She wasn't involved. She has no idea how those bodies got there. According to her, Heather ran off somewhere. Right, I'm going to use Crystal for my inner corner. Then Frank, being the piece of shit, cowardly pissant that he is, hung himself in his cell to get out of having to do serious jail time and being raped himself. He killed himself New Year's Day, 1995. Then, you know, people want somebody to punish, so they go after Rosemary West, who claims that she doesn't know nothing about nothing. She didn't have anything to do with any of it, doesn't know what anybody's talking about, except for there's no way that that could possibly be true, and the people who did survive this horrible place say that no, she was absolutely involved in the whole thing. So she's sentenced to life in prison, which in England at that time I guess meant like 25 years. The inspector or something, inspector general I think, or something like that, they decide that nope, she's never getting out. So they pass a law specifically regarding her case essentially, so that she can never get out of prison. Since that time, what she's spent her time doing is, and she didn't fight it or anything, she said she was innocent, but she didn't appeal it. She has started baking in prison and won several prison baking competitions. This is the Tarte Lip Architect. One side's a lip liner, the other side's a lipstick. But these two were definitely sexual sadists. There's no other thing you could call them. To get sexual satisfaction, this is what they did, and with that, you know, the more they do, the more they have to do. So basically, if they hadn't been stopped, they never would have stopped. I'm sure they molested every single one of their children, and they would have continued to do so. They are some of the most evil people I've ever heard of. I hope you enjoyed this new revamped version of Makeup and Murder. I enjoy doing these, and if you have nothing nice to say, please don't watch them. I hope you like my makeup look. This look was very Rose inspired. I'm hoping to just have a lot of fun with this series and to sort of do an Elvira type thing. So let me know how you thought I did and what changes, if any, you'd like to see in these. It is going to take me some time to get used to the whole wig thing and figuring out how to style it. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!